The space station Horizon's edge floated in the darkness between two great empires. It was neutral ground, a place where humans and Valorians could meet without weapons, without war. At least, that was the idea. Lieutenant Han Do-hyun stood in the docking bay and watched the Valorian ship approach. He had seen pictures of their kind before, but never in person. His heart beat a little faster. This was history, the first real peace talks between their species in 50 years. He straightened his uniform and checked his reflection in the polished metal wall. He looked tired. He had not slept well. Too many thoughts about what could go wrong. Too many memories of the border conflicts. Friends he had lost. But today was supposed to be different. Today was supposed to be the beginning of something better. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Cold air rushed out. Then they appeared. The Valorians looked almost human. Almost. Their skin had a silver tint, like moonlight on water. Strange markings covered their arms and necks. The markings glowed softly with pale blue light. Bioluminescence, the briefing had said. It showed their emotional state. Right now the lights were dim and steady, calm, controlled. There were 5 of them, 4 guards in dark armor, and 1 woman in the center. She was tall. Her black hair was pulled back tight. Her silver skin was smooth and perfect. Her glowing markings formed elegant patterns on her cheekbones. She moved like water, smooth and silent. Her eyes were dark and cold. They looked at everything. They judged everything. Do-hyun stepped forward. He had been trained for this. He knew the protocols, but some habits were hard to break. He smiled and extended his hand. A simple, human greeting. Friendly, welcoming. The woman stopped. Her markings flashed bright for just a moment. Her eyes locked onto his hand like it was a weapon. "Do not touch me," she said. Her voice was flat and hard. "Ever." Do-hyun pulled his hand back. His face felt hot. The Valorian guards stared at him with disgust. He had made a mistake, a bad one, on the very first minute. "I apologize," he said quickly. "I meant no offense." The woman studied him for a long moment. Her markings slowly dimmed back to their calm glow. "I am Commander Yoon Jina," she said. "I lead this delegation. You will address me by my rank." "Yes, Commander. I am Lieutenant Han Do-hyun. I will be your security escort during the talks." Jina looked him up and down. He felt like she was reading a book she did not enjoy. "Human," she said. It was not a greeting. It was a label, a warning. She walked past him without another word. Her guards followed. Do-hyun stood there for a moment, feeling like a fool. Then he followed too. Over the next 3 days, Do-hyun learned many things about the Valorians. He learned that they did not eat with others. They found it primitive. He learned that they did not laugh. They found it unnecessary. He learned that they meditated for 2 hours every morning. They found emotion to be a weakness that needed constant control. Most importantly, he learned why Jina had reacted so strongly to his handshake. Valorians were touch telepaths. When they made skin contact with another being, they felt that being's emotions, all of them, every fear, every desire, every secret feeling. They could not stop it. They could not control it. It simply happened. To Valorians, humans were terrifying. Human emotions were too strong, too wild, too chaotic. Touching a human was like standing in a storm. It was overwhelming. It was dangerous. It left marks on the mind that took years to heal. So they had rules. Strict rules. No Valorian could touch a human. Ever. For any reason. Do-hyun understood now why Jina had looked at his hand with such fear. He had almost forced his entire emotional self into her mind. By accident. With a handshake. He kept his distance after that. He did his job. He watched the corridors. He checked the security systems. He made sure no one got too close to the Valorian delegation. But he also watched Jina. He could not help it. She was fascinating. She moved through the station like she owned it. She spoke to human diplomats like they were children. She never smiled. She never frowned. Her face was always a perfect mask. But sometimes, when she thought no one was looking, Do-hyun saw something else. He saw her standing at the observation windows, staring at the stars. He saw her markings glow a little brighter, a little sadder. He saw her shoulders drop, just slightly, like she was carrying something heavy. She was not just cold, she was careful. There was a difference. The talks were not going well. Do-hyun could see it in the faces of the human diplomats. He could see it in the rigid posture of the Valorian guards. Both sides wanted peace, but neither side trusted the other. Every word was a battle. Every agreement came with 100 conditions. On the fourth night, Do-hyun was walking his patrol route when he heard the explosion. It came from deep in the station. The floor shook. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. People ran past him, heading for the escape pods. Do-hyun ran toward the explosion. His communicator buzzed. It was Captain Park Yoon-ji, his commanding officer. Lieutenant, report to evacuation point 7. That is an order. Captain, the Valorian delegation was in the East Wing. That's where the explosion hit. The station is compromised. We need to evacuate. Do-hyun kept running. I have to check on them. Do-hyun. He turned off his communicator. The East Wing was filled with smoke and fire. The walls were torn open. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead vines. Do-hyun covered his mouth and pushed forward. His eyes burned. His lungs hurt. But he kept going. He found them in the conference room. 4 Valorian guards, all dead, killed by the blast. And there, in the corner, trapped under a fallen beam, was Commander Gina. She was alive. Her markings were flickering wildly, bright and dim, a sign of pain, a sign of fear. She was trying to push the beam off, but it was too heavy. Her silver skin was stained with blood. Do-hyun ran to her. He grabbed the beam and pulled. It did not move. Gina looked up at him. Her eyes were wide. Her mask was gone. "Leave me," she said. "If you touch me, you will regret it. My people will—" Do-hyun did not listen. He grabbed the beam again and pulled with everything he had. His muscles screamed. His back felt like it would break. But he did not stop. The beam moved, slowly, inch by inch. He roared with the effort, a sound that was almost animal. And finally the beam fell away. Gina was free. Do-hyun reached down and pulled her up. His hands touched her arms. Her skin was cool and smooth, and then her eyes went wide. Her markings exploded with light. She gasped like she had been struck. She was feeling him, all of him, every emotion in his chaotic human heart. For a moment they stood there, connected. Then Gina pulled away. She stared at him with an expression he could not read. Footsteps behind them. More Valorians. They had come to rescue their commander. And now they saw what Do-hyun had done. He had touched her. The Valorian guards surrounded Do-hyun in seconds. They moved fast, faster than any human could. Their hands grabbed his arms and forced him to his knees. Cold metal pressed against the back of his neck. A weapon, ready to fire. "Stop!" Gina's voice cut through the chaos. The guards did not move. They kept Do-hyun pinned down. One of them spoke in the Valorian language, fast, angry. Do-hyun did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. They wanted to kill him. Gina responded in the same language. Her voice was weak from pain, but her words were sharp. Commands, orders. The guards hesitated. Then, slowly, they released Do-hyun. He stayed on his knees. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from the effort of lifting that beam, from the rush of the moment, from everything. More people arrived. Human security teams, medical officers. The corridor became crowded with bodies and noise. Someone wrapped a blanket around Gina. Someone else tried to help Do-hyun stand. He pushed them away. He looked at Gina. She was looking back at him. Her markings were still glowing bright, pulsing like a heartbeat. She looked confused, lost, like she was still feeling the echo of his emotions inside her mind. Then the Valorians took her away. They guided her down the corridor, away from the humans, away from him. She did not look back again. Captain Yoonji found Do-hyun an hour later. He was sitting in a medical bay, getting his burns treated. She stood in front of him with her arms crossed. Her face was not happy. "You touched a Valorian diplomat," she said. "I saved her life." "You touched her." Do-hyun looked up. "The beam was crushing her. What was I supposed to do? Watch her die?" Yoonji sighed. She rubbed her forehead. She looked tired, too. Everyone on the station looked tired these days. "The Valorians have filed a formal complaint," she said. "They say you assaulted Commander Gina. They say you forced a mental connection on her without consent." "That's not what happened." "I know. But it doesn't matter what happened. It matters what they say happened. And right now they say you attacked their lead diplomat in the middle of a peace summit." Do-hyun felt cold. The politics of the situation were becoming clear. He had saved Gina's life, but that did not matter. What mattered was that he had broken their most sacred rule. He had touched her. He had violated her mind. "What happens now?" he asked. "You're confined to quarters. The Human Council will meet with the Valorian delegation tomorrow. They will decide what to do with you." "And the peace talks?" Yoonji's face was grim. "Probably over. The Valorians are furious. They're talking about leaving the station, going back to their space, forgetting the whole thing." Do-hyun closed his eyes. All those years of war, all those lives lost. And now, because he had tried to save someone, it was all going to start again. "Captain," he said, "what did she feel? When she touched me?" Yoonji frowned. "What do you mean?" "When Valorians touch someone, they feel their emotions. All of them. So what did Commander Gina feel when she touched me?" Yoonji was quiet for a moment. Then she shook her head. "I don't know, Lieutenant, but whatever it was, it scared her people very much." They took him to his quarters, a small room with a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the stars, the door locked behind him. He was a prisoner now, a political problem waiting to be solved. He sat on the bed and stared at the wall. He thought about Gina's face when she had touched him. That look of shock, that flash of light in her markings. She had felt everything inside him, his fear of dying, his determination to save her, his anger at the people who had caused the explosion. But there was something else, too. Something he had felt even in that brief moment of contact. Gina had been surprised, not by his chaos, not by his wild human emotions. She had been surprised because she had expected something else. She had expected violence, greed, selfishness, all the things her people believed about humans. Instead, she had felt him trying to protect her, a stranger, an alien, someone who had told him never to touch her, and he had risked everything to save her anyway. That was what scared the Valorians. Not human chaos, human kindness. 3 days passed. Do-hyun stayed in his room. He ate the food they brought him. He slept when he could. He waited. On the 3rd night, someone knocked on his door. He stood up. The door was locked from the outside. He could not open it, but the knock came again. Soft, careful, like the person did not want to be heard. Then a voice, quiet, almost a whisper. "Lieutenant?" He knew that voice, cold and careful, but also something else now, something new. "Commander?" he said. The door opened. Gina stood in the hallway. She was wearing a dark cloak with a hood. Her bioluminescent markings were dim, almost invisible. She was hiding. She looked at him. Her face was still a mask, but her eyes were different. There was something moving behind them. Doubt, curiosity, need. "Follow me," she whispered. "Tell no one." She turned and walked away, into the dark corridor, into the unknown. Do-hyun did not hesitate. He followed. She led him through the station, down maintenance tunnels, past locked doors that opened for her touch, through sections he had never seen before. The station was huge, and there were many places that were hidden from normal crew. Finally, they reached a small room, an observation deck. Windows looked out at the stars. The light was dim. The air was still. They were alone. Gina lowered her hood. Her markings glowed softly in the darkness. She turned to face him. "The explosion was not an accident," she said. Do-hyun felt his stomach tighten. "Sabotage?" "Yes, from my own people." She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Her reflection stared back at her. Sad. Tired. "There is a faction within the Valorian High Command," she said. "They do not want peace with humans. They believe your species is too dangerous, too emotional. They think if we become allies, your chaos will infect us, destroy us." "So they tried to kill you? Their own commander?" "They tried to kill the peace. I was just in the way." She turned back to him. Her markings pulsed brighter for a moment. "I have evidence," she said. "I know who did this. I know their plans, but I cannot use it. My people will not believe me." "Why not?" "Because of you." She stepped closer, her dark eyes locked onto his. "When you touched me, you contaminated me. That is what they call it. Contamination. Your emotions are inside me now. They say I cannot be trusted. They say I have been corrupted by human feeling." Do-hyun shook his head. "That's insane. I saved your life." "I know, but my people do not see it that way. They see a human who violated their commander. They see a soldier who cannot control himself. They see everything they fear about your species. Then why are you here? Why come to me?" Gina was quiet for a long moment. Her markings glowed and dimmed, like she was fighting something inside herself. "Because when I touched you," she said finally, "I felt something my people have forgotten." She stepped even closer. Close enough that he could see the glow of her markings reflected in her eyes. "You were afraid," she said. "Afraid of dying, afraid of failing, afraid of losing everything. But you did not run. You did not save yourself. You stayed. You lifted that beam with your bare hands. You risked your life for someone who had treated you like an enemy." Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "We call it madness, human chaos. But in that moment, I felt what it really was: conviction. The belief that some things are worth dying for, that some people are worth saving, even strangers, even aliens." She held his gaze. "My people need that. We have forgotten how to feel. We have become so afraid of emotion that we have become empty, and now that emptiness is killing us." She reached into her cloak and pulled out a small device, a data chip. "This has the evidence, the names, the plans, everything. But I cannot bring it to my people. They will not listen to me. They think I am corrupted." "So what do you want me to do?" Gina pressed the chip into his hand. Her fingers touched his. Just for a moment. She did not pull away. "Help me," she said. "Help me stop them. Help me save the peace." Do-hyun looked at the chip. Then he looked at her. He did not think about the danger. He did not think about the consequences. He thought about her face when she had first looked at his hand, the fear, the disgust, and now she was asking for his help. She was trusting him, a human. "Yes," he said. They spent the night planning. Gina sat cross-legged on the floor of the observation deck, her cloak spread around her like dark water. Do-hyun sat across from her, the data chip turning slowly in his fingers. Outside the window, the stars watched them in silence. Gina explained everything. The faction was led by a man named High Delegate Quan Tayson. He was one of the most powerful Valorians in the Empire. He believed that humans were a disease, a plague of emotion that would spread across the galaxy and destroy everything pure and logical. He had spent decades working against any contact with human space, and now, with the peace talks so close to success, he had decided to act. The explosion had been just the beginning. Tayson planned to blame the attack on human terrorists. He would use it as proof that humans could not be trusted, that they were violent and savage. That peace was impossible. And then the war would continue. More deaths, more suffering, more years of darkness between the stars. "Why does he hate us so much?" Do-Yun asked. Gina's markings pulsed with a soft blue light. "He lost his family in the first war, a human attack. He has never forgiven your species. A lot of humans lost family too. We don't all want to keep fighting. I know. But Tayson does not see individuals. He sees only humans, a faceless enemy, a source of pain." She paused. Her markings dimmed. "I used to see it the same way," she said quietly. Do-Yun looked at her. "And now?" She did not answer right away. Her eyes stayed on the stars. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "When I touched you, I felt your mind, your heart, all your messy, chaotic emotions. I felt your fear and your anger and your sadness." She turned to look at him. "But I also felt your hope, your belief that things could be better, your desire to protect, even at cost to yourself. I felt you care about me. A stranger, an enemy." Her markings glowed brighter. "My people teach that humans are animals, driven by instinct, slaves to their feelings. But what I felt in you was not slavery. It was strength. The strength to feel deeply and still choose kindness. The strength to be afraid and still act with courage." She shook her head slowly. "I do not understand it, but I know it is real, and I know it is something we have lost." They sat in silence for a moment. The weight of her words hung in the air like smoke. Then Do-Yun leaned forward. "How do we stop Tayson?" Gina straightened. Her mask returned. The commander was back. "The evidence on that chip is not enough. It shows his communications, his plans. But he will say it was fabricated. He will say I was manipulated by human influence. We need more." "What kind of more?" "We need proof that cannot be denied. Recordings, witnesses, something that will make even his supporters turn against him." "Where do we find that?" Gina's eyes met his. "His ship, the Eternal Silence. It is docked on the far side of the station. All his private records are there. His personal logs, his communications with the others in the faction. If we can get inside and download them, we will have everything we need." Do-Hyun nodded slowly. "So we break into a Valorian military vessel, steal classified information, and get out without being caught." "Yes. While I'm supposed to be confined to quarters and you're supposed to be contaminated and untrustworthy." "Yes." Do-Hyun laughed. He could not help it. The sound was tired and rough, but it was real. Gina frowned. "Why are you laughing?" "Because this is insane. This is completely insane." "Does that mean you will not help?" He looked at her. Her face was serious. Her markings were steady. She was not joking. She was not uncertain. She was asking him to risk his life for a cause that most people would call hopeless. And he realized he had already decided. "No," he said. "It means we should get started." The next night, they moved. Gina had access codes that could get them through most of the station's security systems. She was still a commander, even if her people did not trust her. The codes had not been changed yet. That would not last long. They moved through the dark corridors like shadows. Do-Yun followed Gina's lead. She knew the station better than he did. She knew where the cameras were, where the guards patrolled, where the blind spots were. They reached the docking ring without being seen. The eternal silence was there, connected to the station by a long umbilical tube. It was a beautiful ship, all smooth curves and silver metal. It looked like something that had grown rather than been built. Gina stopped at the entrance to the tube. She looked at Do-hyun. "Once we go inside, there is no going back," she said. "If we are caught, we will both be executed." "My people do not show mercy to traitors." "What about your people? Don't you show mercy to people trying to save them?" Gina's markings flickered. "I do not know any more." They went inside. The ship was quiet. Most of the crew was on the station for the negotiations. Only a few guards remained. Gina knew their patrol schedules. She led Do-hyun around them, through side corridors and maintenance shafts, deeper into the ship. The technology was strange. The walls glowed with soft light. The doors opened by touch. Everything was smooth and clean. There were no buttons, no handles, no rough edges. It was beautiful and cold at the same time. They reached Tyson's private quarters. Gina pressed her hand to the door panel. It beeped. Red light. "It needs his authorization," she said. Do-hyun looked at the panel. Then he looked at the wall beside it. An idea formed in his mind. "Can you open this wall panel?" he asked. Gina frowned. "Why?" "Just trust me." She hesitated. Then she pressed a sequence on the wall. A panel slid open, revealing a mess of glowing wires and circuits. Do-hyun reached inside. The technology was alien, but technology was technology. It had rules. It had patterns. He started tracing the wires, following them with his fingers, looking for the connection to the door lock. "What are you doing?" Gina asked. "Improvising." He found what he was looking for. A junction point. A place where the door's security connected to the ship's main system. He pulled out 2 wires and touched them together. The door beeped. Green light. It slid open. Gina stared at him. Her markings were bright with surprise. "How did you know how to do that?" Do-hyun shrugged. "Humans are good at breaking things." They went inside. Tyson's quarters were large and cold. There was a desk, a bed, shelves filled with strange objects, and in the corner, a personal terminal. Gina went to the terminal and started working. Her fingers moved fast over the glowing controls. Screens flashed. Data streamed. She was downloading everything. Do-hyun stood guard by the door. His heart was pounding. Every sound made him tense. Every shadow made him reach for the weapon he did not have. Minutes passed. They felt like hours. "Got it," Gina said finally. She pulled a new data chip from the terminal. "Everything, his logs, his messages, his plans, it's all here." Do-hyun let out a breath. "Then let's go." They turned to leave, and found High Delegate Kwon Taeson standing in the doorway. He was tall, taller than Gina. His silver skin was darker, almost gray. His markings were harsh lines, glowing with angry red light. His face was a mask of cold fury. Behind him stood 6 Valorian guards. Their weapons were drawn. "Commander Gina," Taeson said. His voice was soft and sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. "I expected treachery, but I did not expect you to bring a human into my quarters." He looked at Do-hyun. His eyes were full of disgust. "Like a disease," he said. "You infect everything you touch." Gina stepped forward. Her markings flared bright. "You are the disease, Taeson. You killed our own people. You tried to destroy the peace." "I tried to save our people. From them." He pointed at Do-hyun. "From their chaos, their corruption, their weakness." "They are not weak." "No?" Taeson smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Then let us test that." He gave an order. The guards moved forward. and Do-yun realized they were not going to escape without a fight. The guards moved fast, faster than Do-hyun expected. Valorians were not known for their strength, but they were quick and precise. Every movement had purpose. Every step was calculated. The first guard reached for Do-hyun's arm. He twisted away. His training took over. Years of combat drills. Years of fighting on the front lines. His body knew what to do even when his mind was still catching up. He grabbed the guard's wrist and pulled hard. The guard stumbled forward. Do-yun used the momentum to throw him into the second guard. They both fell in a tangle of limbs. But there were 4 more, and they were already on him. A fist connected with his ribs. Pain exploded through his side. Another blow caught his shoulder. He staggered back, tried to block, tried to counter, but they were everywhere. Too many, too fast. One of them hit him in the face, his vision blurred. He tasted blood, his knee buckled. He went down. Tayson watched with a small smile on his dark face. His red markings glowed with satisfaction. "You see," he said to Gina, "this is what humans are. Fragile, weak. They break so easily." Gina's markings were burning bright. Her hands were clenched into fists. She looked at Do-hyun on the ground, bleeding and broken, and something changed in her eyes. "No," she said. Tayson raised an eyebrow. "No." Gina moved. She was a blur of silver and blue light. Her hand shot out and grabbed the nearest guard by the throat. She spun him around and threw him into the wall with a strength that surprised even Do-yun. The guard hit hard and did not get up. The other guards turned to face her. They hesitated. She was still a commander, still one of their own. They did not know if they were allowed to hurt her. That hesitation cost them. Gina attacked. She moved through them like water through stones. Her hands struck with perfect precision. Throat, temple, nerve clusters. Each blow was exact. Each movement was efficient. In seconds, 3 more guards were on the ground. The last 2 backed away. They looked at Tayson, waiting for orders. Tyson's smile was gone. His markings pulsed with angry light. "You would betray your own people for this human," he said. "You would destroy everything we are?" Gina stood over the fallen guards. She was breathing hard. Her markings were so bright they lit up the room. "I am trying to save what we are," she said. "You are the one destroying us. You murdered our own people. You tried to start a war. You think you are protecting us, but you are turning us into monsters." "I am protecting us from the real monsters." Tayson pointed at Do-hyun again. "Look at him, bleeding on the floor, fighting even when he knows he cannot win. That is not strength. That is madness. That is the chaos that will consume the galaxy if we let it spread." Do-hyun pushed himself up. Every part of his body hurt. His ribs were probably cracked. His face was swelling. Blood dripped from his mouth onto the clean Valorian floor. But he stood. Tayson stared at him. For the first time, something like surprise crossed his face. "You should stay down, human." "You have already lost." Do-hyun wiped the blood from his mouth. His legs were shaking. His vision was still blurry, but he looked Tayson in the eyes and did not look away. "You say we're dangerous because we feel too much," he said. His voice was rough and wet. "You say our emotions make us weak, make us chaotic, make us monsters." He took a step forward. The guards tensed. Tyson's eyes narrowed. "But look at you," Do-hyun continued. "You feel nothing at all. And you just killed your own people to start a war. You just tried to destroy any chance for peace. You just betrayed everything your species is supposed to believe in." Another step. His body screamed at him to stop. He kept going. "You call us the monsters, but at least we care. At least we feel something. At least we know when we're wrong." He stopped in front of Tayson. Close enough to see the glow of his markings, close enough to see the rage behind his mask. "You don't feel anything," Do-hyun said, "and look what you've become." Tyson's hand shot out. His fingers wrapped around Do-Yun's throat. He lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Do-Yun choked. His feet kicked at empty air. His hands grabbed at Tyson's arm, but he was too weak, too broken. "I will show you what I feel," Tyson said. His voice was ice. His markings burned red. "I will show you exactly what I think of your species." His grip tightened. Do-Hyun could not breathe. The edges of his vision went dark. He was going to die here, in a Valorian ship, at the hands of someone who would never see him as anything but an animal. But then he saw Gina. She was moving, silent, fast. She grabbed something from the desk behind Tyson. A heavy object, some kind of award or trophy. She raised it high, and she brought it down on Tyson's head. The sound was loud and ugly. Tyson dropped Do-Hyun and staggered back. His hand went to his skull. His markings flickered wildly, red and white and nothing at all. He looked at Gina with shock, with betrayal, with hate. Then he fell. Gina stood over him, breathing hard. Her markings were pulsing fast. Her hands were shaking. She had just struck down one of the highest members of her government. She had just turned against her own people. The room was silent. The remaining 2 guards stared at her. They did not know what to do. Their commander had just attacked their leader. Their whole world had just turned upside down. Gina looked at them. Her voice was cold and hard. "Take him to the brig. He will face trial for his crimes. If you try to stop me, you will join him." The guards hesitated. Then, slowly, they moved to obey. Gina turned to Do-Hyun. He was on his knees, coughing, trying to breathe. She knelt beside him. Her hand touched his face, gentle, careful. He looked up at her. Through the pain, through the blur, he saw her markings glowing soft and steady. He saw something in her eyes that he had never seen before. Fear, gratitude, something else, something deeper. "We need to go," she said. "Can you walk?" He nodded. He was not sure it was true, but he would make it true. She helped him up. He leaned on her as they walked, her arm around his waist, his arm over her shoulder. They moved through the ship, past the unconscious guards, back toward the docking tube. They were halfway there when Do-Hyun's legs gave out. He collapsed against the wall. Breathing hard, his ribs stabbed at him with every breath. His throat felt like it was on fire. Gina knelt beside him. Her markings pulsed with worry. "We have to keep moving," she said. "I know, just give me a moment." She was quiet. Then she reached out and took his hand. Her fingers wrapped around his. Her skin was cool and smooth. Her markings glowed where they touched. She was feeling him again. All his pain, all his exhaustion, all his fear. But she did not pull away. "Why did you stand up?" she asked quietly. "You were beaten. You could not win. Why did you keep fighting?" Do-Hyun looked at her. He tried to smile. It hurt. "Because some things are worth fighting for," he said, "even when you can't win." Her markings glowed brighter. Her hand squeezed his. "Yes," she said. "I think I understand now." She helped him up again. They kept moving. They made it back to the station. Gina took him to the medical bay. Human doctors worked on him through the night. Cracked ribs, internal bleeding, damage to his throat. It was bad. But he would live. Gina stayed with him. She sat in a chair beside his bed and watched him sleep. Her markings glowed soft and steady in the dark. And when the doctors were not looking, she held his hand. For the first time in her life, she wanted to feel someone else's chaos. And she was not afraid. 1 month passed. The evidence from Tyson's ship had been enough. His personal logs, his messages with the other conspirators, his orders to plant the bomb. Everything was there, clear and undeniable. Even the Valorians who had supported him could not ignore it. He had murdered his own people to start a war. He had betrayed everything his species claimed to believe. Tyson and his faction were arrested. They would face trial. The punishment would be severe. The Valorians did not show mercy to traitors. But more importantly, the peace talks continued. Without Tayson and his poison, the negotiations moved forward. Both sides still argued. Both sides still had demands. But now there was something that had not been there before. Trust. Not much, but enough. The treaty was signed on a Tuesday morning. The ceremony was held in the Great Hall of Horizon's Edge. Hundreds of people gathered. Human diplomats in their formal uniforms. Valorian delegates in their silver robes. Cameras recorded everything. This was history. This was the end of 50 years of war. Do-Yun watched from the back of the room. His ribs were still wrapped in bandages. His face still had bruises, but he was standing. He was alive. And he was here to see this moment. Captain Yunji found him after the signing. "You look terrible," she said. "Thank you, Captain." She smiled a little. "The council wants to give you a commendation. Highest honors, public ceremony, the whole thing." Do-Yun shook his head. "I don't want it." "I figured you'd say that." She studied him with careful eyes. "What do you want?" He looked across the room. Gina was there, standing with her delegation. She was wearing her formal commander's uniform. Her markings glowed soft and steady. She looked powerful and beautiful and very far away. But as he watched, she turned her head. Her eyes found his across the crowded room. She held his gaze for just a moment. Then she turned back to her people. Do-Yun looked at Yunji. "I want to be reassigned," he said. "I want to be humanity's first permanent liaison to Valoria." Yunji raised an eyebrow. "You want to live on their homeworld? With their people? After everything that happened?" "Yes." "They're not going to like it. Most of them still think you're a contaminating influence." "I know. And you still want to go?" "Yes." Yunji was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and surprised. "You started a war by touching her," she said. "Might as well finish what you started." She put her hand on his shoulder. Careful, gentle. "I'll make it happen, Lieutenant. Try not to cause any more diplomatic incidents." "I'll do my best, Captain." The reception after the signing was long and formal. People gave speeches. They made toasts. They talked about the future and what it would mean for both species. Do-Hyun stood in the corner and tried to stay awake. His body was still healing. He was tired in a way that went deeper than his bones. Then Gina took the stage. The room went quiet. Everyone turned to listen. The commander who had stopped the conspiracy. The Valorian who had saved the peace. Gina looked out at the crowd. Her markings pulsed slowly. Her face was calm and serious. "My people came here afraid," she said. Her voice filled the room. "We were afraid of humans, afraid of their emotions, afraid of their chaos. We believed that their feelings made them dangerous, uncontrolled. We believed that contact with humans would contaminate us, corrupt us, destroy everything we had built." She paused. Her markings glowed brighter. "I believe this too. When I first arrived on this station, I saw humans as a threat, a disease, something to be avoided, something to be feared." Her eyes moved across the room. They found Do-Hyun. They stayed there. "Then I met one of them." The room was silent. Everyone was watching. "He tried to shake my hand," Gina said. A tiny smile touched her lips. "I told him never to touch me. I treated him like an enemy. And when I was trapped, dying, he came back for me. He lifted a beam that should have been too heavy. He saved my life. And when he touched me, I felt everything inside him." Her markings pulsed with color. Blue and white and gold. "I felt his fear, his pain, his anger, all the things my people warned me about, all that human chaos." She shook her head slowly. "But I also felt something else, something we have forgotten." the willingness to suffer for others, to risk everything for what is right, to hope when all logic says hope is foolish. She straightened. Her voice grew stronger. We called it madness. We called it weakness. But I have learned that it is strength. The strength to feel deeply and still choose kindness. The strength to be afraid and still act with courage. The strength to care about strangers, about enemies, about people who have given you nothing but reasons to hate them. She looked at Do-hyun again. This time she did not look away. We sought to protect ourselves from humanity. Perhaps we should have sought to learn from them. She stepped back from the podium. The room erupted in applause. Humans clapped and cheered. Valorians stood in respectful silence, their markings glowing. History had been made. Things would never be the same. Do-hyun did not applaud. He just stood there, looking at her, feeling something grow warm in his chest. Later that night, he went to the observation deck, the one where she had first asked him for help. He did not know if she would be there. He just needed a place to think, a place to breathe. She was there. Gina stood by the window, looking out at the stars. Her cloak was gone. Her uniform was gone. She wore simple clothes, soft and dark. She looked smaller somehow, more real. She heard him enter, but did not turn around. You never asked why I came to you that night, she said. Do-hyun walked to her side. He looked out at the stars with her. You told me. You needed human madness. Gina turned to face him. Her markings glowed soft and warm. Her eyes were deep and dark and full of things he did not have words for. No, she said. I needed you. She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers wrapped around his. Her skin was cool and smooth. Her markings flared bright where they touched. She was feeling him again. All of him. His exhaustion, his hope, his fear, his joy, all the messy, chaotic emotions that made him human. And she was not afraid. I have spent my whole life learning to feel nothing, she said, to be calm, to be controlled, to be empty. Her grip tightened. But when I touched you, I remembered what it was like to feel, to care, to be alive. She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the light in her markings reflected in her eyes. I do not want to be empty anymore, she said. I want to feel, I want to care, I want to be alive. She looked up at him. I want to be with you. Do-hyun looked at her. He thought about everything they had been through. The explosion, the fight, the blood and pain and fear. And he thought about her hand in his, her voice in the dark, her trust when she had every reason to hate him. It won't be easy, he said. Your people won't accept it. Mine might not either. We'll have to fight for everything. Gina smiled. It was small and rare and beautiful. I know, she said, but some things are worth fighting for, even when you cannot win. Do-hyun laughed. It hurt his ribs. He did not care. Yeah, he said. I guess they are. He lifted her hand to his lips and kissed her fingers. She felt the warmth of his mouth, the softness of his touch, the love in his heart that he could not hide. Her markings blazed bright. Her eyes shone with tears. They stood together at the window, hands intertwined, and looked out at the stars, human chaos and Valorian calm, together, whole, alive. The war was over, the peace was just beginning, and they would face it together.